plus years of global experience driving double-digit growth, digital transformation, and tech-led strategy across enterprises in India and international markets. A huge round of applause for ma'am as well. Finally, joining us on this panel, we have Mr. Saurav Sahu, a global tech leader at Google Operations Center. Mr. Saurav brings 20 plus years of expertise in AI, automation, and digital transformation, driving innovation across industries while mentoring startups as an investor and advisor. Please welcome him as well on stage with a round of applause. And finally, the man of the hour, the person who is going to moderate this entire panel discussion, driving this conversation, we have Mr. Nikunj Thakkar. He's the founder of Upsurge Ventures.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, and we have four distinguished speakers with us, all of them from global organizations. So we are going to do a deep dive into how to go from local to global. I'll be asking them a lot of interesting questions. If you have questions, we'll also have some time for that. So technology today has no barriers, right? We have seen a lot of companies built from India for global markets, and it is getting commoditized every day. We are seeing that the barrier to build technology is getting less and less. If you guys are following news, just day before yesterday, startup called Base 44 were acquired by VIX for $40 million, $80 million for all cash deals. Apparently, it was wife-coded by a solo founder. So we are seeing startups emerging from a very small towns going global, selling across the borders. And so with that context, my first question to all of you is, all of you have been working in the intersection of technology and scale. With the recent advancement, how do you see, like what kind of transformation are you seeing when startups are building? What should they focus on, keeping the global market in mind? So all of this question is for all of you, and then we'll have the conversation moving.
Good afternoon. Maybe I will start. May I? Yeah. Sure. Had good lunch. Yes. Feeling sleepy? To some extent. No. Okay. Perfect. It's very interesting to be here. I think before we started this panel, we had good time discussing during the lunch to understand about the startup ecosystem itself and what each one of us are doing in our own space. So I think that gave us an idea. Otherwise, it would have been straight on stage. So coming to your question of what they should keep in mind when they want to go global and what they want to take it on scale. First thing is, in your startup, wherever you are in your journey, are you clear with your problem statement? Is your problem statement very clear, and what you're trying to address is very clear? So that's the first thing. A lot of people just take superficially, and I interact with a lot of startups too. When we ask them, they really don't know what is the USP. So as startups, it's important for you to do your groundwork, go deeper into understanding what your problem statement is, who are your target audience, to whom are you building this product itself. The product could be a software product or it could be any hardware, whatever you're doing. Once you have that conviction and the depth of knowledge, depth of understanding very clear, taking it to scale will become easy later on. It will take some time. Lot of times people want to see scale overnight. That doesn't happen that way. The depth understanding and who are you targeting? Are you solving the problem really? The product should speak. So that's how we have built at Zoho. That's how, Zoho has been a startup when I joined to where we are today. We did have a global mindset, but first, are you solving the problem? The real problem. And what is the unique thing? Why should I come to you? Ask the question yourself. Then you will know for sure what changes you need to bring. So that's simple thing that I wanted to leave the audience with.
Rohit. Yeah, so thank you so much. Uh, guys, first of all, to build at scale, you will require to ensure that your product has the right GTM in the markets that you're going on to, right? How do you ensure that your problem can be replicated to multiple markets? Your problem solution can be replicated to multiple markets. That's the first point. Second is the issue around culture, and I want to touch upon this. We can build, but different markets have different cultures. We'll have to understand that when we go into different markets, especially building for global scale. Third, language. That's a hard fact, quite objectively defined. Language is the third part of it, which is very, very important to go global from India specifically. That's the third part of it. And lastly, but not the least, which we intuitively do better than most of the other countries, is creating a support system, creating a platform support to manage international markets. Right? We have to start thinking when we start building from ground zero for that. Those are the 3, 4 areas I think that's extremely important for building at a global level.
Uh, Thank you to both Rohit and Rajlakshmi for sharing the perspectives. I'd like to add to that, having worked with 2000 plus startups, what I see is that first thing to keep in mind, product market fit is extremely important. And it's not like the same product can scale up globally. The context differs. Every country or every culture brings in different nuances. Think about Uber, for example. They were a startup at one point in time, but for only India, they brought in the UPI payment. And that is the power of localization. That is the power of contextualization. So it is never a one size fit all approach. You will have to tweak your product to ensure that it scales globally. In some of the cases, you also have to understand whether the product is meant for global scaling. Some product may be niche. A lot of you might have heard about India 1, India 2, India 3 products. India 2 being where we are serving the largest English speaking, culturally advanced population. India 3 is where it goes further down. So, what is the kind of product? Where are you trying to scale? And whether it makes sense to even go out globally. So, that is one thing. And engaging the ecosystem is very, very important because startup community cannot thrive in, just the founder cannot take a sole decision on how to scale the product. It is often an engagement with angel investors. It is always connecting with the VCs, with the mentors in the industry, with educational institutions to form a formidable network where you can secure the next phases of growth. Even corporates get involved. So in those kind of situations, seek support from people who have done that, who have scaled up products. Because mind you, even larger corporations, I come from Dell Technologies, they were a startup 40 years back. So they also carry a lot of nuances that can be added to cultural specific context, and there is always a lesson in learning that can be brought in. So engaging with them. So we run something called the Dell Entrepreneur Challenge globally and also in India, where we kind of onboard 3,000 plus startups every year. We scan them and get them through a grilling process. What kind of exposes them to is whether the product is suitable to scale to achieve that kind of an exposure globally. That is also the problem statement that one needs to understand. So there's a lot of learning involved. And the third thing I would say is that probably not many will think this in an optimistic way, but fail fast and fail quickly because the cost of failure actually reduces when you fail fast, so that you can tweak your ways and probably adopt a different strategy if it so needs. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
That's amazing. Hi everyone. I hope you are able to follow. And I'm not a traditional way of doing things person, and that's why I love startup. I learn a lot from every startup. I'm so proud that there's so many startups we are building products which world has not seen it. First thing, that credit goes to all the founders because doing a job is very easy, but building a startup is very difficult. Clap for every founder who is sitting here today. Okay, I love you guys for that. Now, talking about doing local, going global, no rocket science, basic understanding. Where am I solving the problem? As they talked about, I think everybody touched on that. But never listen to people who has done it 20 years back. Sorry, I'm also the 20 years back. Don't listen to me if it doesn't make sense for your product. Think from your heart and use your brain to build solutions. You'll start seeing the opportunity as you go on. I do not think anybody who is a big company today would have thought 20 years back that this is what I'm going to build it. I was talking to her about Joho. Joho has never thought that they are going to reach here today after so many years. Sorry, I'm giving a totally different perspective, but I'm trying to tell you that challenge the status quo always. Think what I can do different. The world of AI is talking now, but don't go with the superficial layer of AI that I can build this, I can build that, but how? Is it sustainable? Is somebody is bringing a competitive advantage on that? Who has money, they can come and build a solution which can break your entire business sizing what you have built. So think all those and then start building your product. It can be a kind of supply chain which you have built, which nobody has seen it. It's working for you, then go ahead. Don't listen that no, somebody has done it this way. Why don't you follow it? My recommendation: think, then you take a decision. Don't just go by the blind decision that I have to follow somebody. So with that, I'll pause and we'll have more discussions here. We'll talk about more interesting things.
Oh, just a quick one I forgot. When you're building for global markets, please take care of the regulatory requirements in that market as well. Yeah, that's the fifth one. Thank
So
you.
I'm actually coming to that, but we'll start from Raj Lakshmi. So I've been a big Zoho fan. I am a product user myself, and you guys have expanded into a lot of new categories. Nowadays, like I'm building a new venture. Every time I look for a certain solution, Zoho is like the first that comes out. So, what is the thought process behind building these new product lines, and how do you target it for the global market from the beginning itself?
So if I have to say some things honestly here, lot of things are unplanned. Okay. Zoho as a company itself, today people are talking about, people know, we have been in business for 29 years and the company name has changed 3 times. But the core vision of the core founding members still remain the same. The product oriented approach and what we want to solve. So every time we have faced a lot of decisions in the global front as well. So every time we looked at opportunities as to what we want to build and who are our target audience, how do we take it forward, we do a lot of discussion around that. So when we wanted to do Zoho is for the SaaS-based products. We have other verticals also within. Manage Engine is for monitoring solutions. And earlier to that, we had different brands. So there are different brands. So 20 years ago, when we started with SaaS as a model, it was not that all of us sat in a conference room and note that we will do all these 10 different products. No, we just started with 1 or 2. And importantly, we started building, we were a startup when we started, like how you are all. When we started, we used a lot of products. We saw the pain points in the product and we started building products, softwares for our own needs. That's how we started. So we replaced the products that we used because there were some pain points. We built it. Today, we follow that even today religiously. Whatever product we build, we use it internally for minimum 2 years before we take it out to the market. So the product becomes mature before it comes to the market. We are our own customers for ourselves internally. And keep in mind, it is very difficult to release a product to the internal customers. They will come and stand behind you that it is not working. And it is not that we are just testing. We are the largest enterprise using our own products for our day-to-day bread and butter. So it is not just a testing team that tests it. So that is something that you have to keep in mind as founders. Whatever product you are building, you should be your first customer. You should be using it day in, day out. we saw the earlier panel where the investor was saying he uses all the products from people. I would say you have to start using your own products. That's when you will know the, because it could be a small thing, it could be a small button that is missed, or I'm talking about software, you can apply it in any domain. But unless otherwise, not for testing, but for a regular day-to-day usage, if you don't use it, you will not know the pain points. So that is how we evolved into building products that were needed for our own needs, and then we released it. So the products evolve slowly. That's an important thing in a startup ecosystem. Whatever you plan, there will definitely be changes. Don't say that you will complete everything for a 5 year and then you will release it. By the time the technology would have changed, the market would have changed. Whatever you build, you know that you define the problem statement, build it, maybe use it internally, take it to customers. That's one thing that we do. The product, small products we do, we take it to customers, get their feedback. Maybe we give it for free for them to use to get customers' feedback, and then we see improvise on it, and then we do. So there are small strategies like these which we have followed. I mean, it is not overnight; it happened over the years. That's how we have built it. So that is something. It will take time. As she rightly said, failures will happen. Any startup will face failures. If you have not faced failures, then something is wrong. That's how you have to see it as. You ask me today, you see Zoho has 50 or 50 different products that is successful. There are 200 different products which we tried and we failed. And I have worked on them. So the learnings are important. Take that learning, apply it in the other product, you will be able to do better. So there are a lot of the things which we can talk, maybe I'll show you.
Just one quick follow up. Any product where you've done like outside first and then India later?
Outside first and then internally? Not really. Most
No,
of
outside like other
outside
markets.
India.
Yeah.
No, most of our developments were here. As he rightly pointed out, outside, when you go to different regions, the regulatories play a lot of role. There are certain countries and software products, SaaS products, the data center itself will have a lot of regulatories. It's not easy. And for the data, from the data center operation to the people who manages that have to be the region's citizens. So you have to hire there, the regional citizens. So there are a lot of challenges in specific countries with respect to SaaS when you take it globally. So product as I see, project is different, product is different. Product you can build anywhere, you can take it globally, anybody can use it. So we have products, I mean, we have people from across the globe who are using the products, and there are a lot of regulatory challenges with respect to each countries that we adopt to. But I think we will figure it out as and when we want to expand to that region.
So Rohit, you mentioned about compliances, and when it comes to regulated products, I think we see a lot of success in Indian market. But when it comes to like building regulated product for global markets, uh, there are very few examples from India which they are able to do like successfully. So what do you think is the challenge? Like why like Indian regulated products are not able to scale globally, whereas we see a lot of global startups coming in India with regulated products.
Okay, so we have to understand that regulation is not static; it's always dynamic. First, second, if the regulation is dynamic, we will have to keep changing our product set along with the. So I'll give you a simple example. We were building for lending stack, and the KYC regulation did a complete new change. Believe me, we had to change the whole stack. And I had a KYC RegTech player who had to completely pivot and change his complete product in Indian market. That's the issue from an that's the issue across the world. Regulation are not something which is sacrosanct. They keep changing. It's very difficult to build a RegTech product and then to fit into regulations across markets. EU regulations on AI are completely different. Right? They just come up with recent regulations. Americans are completely different. Chinese are completely different. How would you build for one product for these three very different type of regulated markets? That's the challenge. You have to understand that. Maybe you'll have to pivot and create sub products across to be for them. That's why it's very difficult topic to build products for regulated markets and specifically for banking, financial services industries across the world. There are products which are there. For example, SAP. Right? Now, SAP does, I'll give you a very simple enterprise example. SAP does build products across the world, but for regulated markets like banking, they have a separate localization patch which is available. So it's like a separate sub vertical of their complete product for Indian market. Similarly, for the other markets that they go for. So it's almost like replicating the products per country into different flavors or different regulated patches that they call it. So that's the challenge around it.
So you gave example of a very large organization, but let's say if a startup wants to build a product in this segment, what advice would you give to them? Let's say early stage startup comes to you that I want to build a regulated product in a particular market. What advice would you give? How should they go about it?
When you build, first of all, you have to identify a very niche problem. Right? Don't try to spray paint the solution across. One, look at look at that specific niche of a problem, solve it completely. Right? A lot of people half solve it. Then, once you looked at that specific problem set, please look at what are the implications of integrated systems when you're building that solution. Because no specific solution will be in isolation, right? If you're giving a KYC solution, it will have an integration with at least 5 or 6 other systems across, right? In the overall enterprise architecture that you're looking at. So look at those integrations, the implication of that system. Second, look at the data implications of that. Where is the data? How is the data flowing? That is the data layer around it, right? Third, if you look at the regulation for that affecting that specific solution, and then build. So these 3 concentric circles, if you're able to solve for, you'll be able to build for a larger enterprise. But your first concentric circle, that is how solving that problem in a very niche manner, is extremely important. A lot of people just spray paint a solution or try to cut paste a solution. It will not work. You cannot port solutions like this. So you'll have to build products in which you can solve one specific problem and solve it completely.
Definitely. So I think niching down definitely helps if you are solving for a particular market, and once you establish yourself, you can obviously explore new market. Next question to you, Samriddhi. I think you mentioned about the entrepreneurship cell, and I think my friend Rahul was part of the team. He was helping a lot of startups at Dell. So how does ecosystem, accelerators, communities play a role in helping startups grow globally?
I go back to 2014. I was in the valley, Silicon Valley. I come across a very interesting place called the AGI house. So one of my friends invited me over, and I saw a bunch of young people. They were all coding. They were doing something called hackathons, and that's the first time I ever heard about the term. There's something called hackathon exists. I have heard of marathon, never hackathon. So then I heard that these people are a set of founders who are sitting at a place, and that's when I heard about the name called Sergey Brin. He's one of the Google co-founders, Eric Schmidt. So these are the people who are providing assistance, mentorship to this large community of developers in the valley to come up with some innovative ideas or to move their products into fruition. Now, not everybody will succeed, but what it does is that like 120 odd people living under the same roof, doing everything to solve a problem, dining together, drinking together, having a good time, and coming back to the drawing board, ideating and solving problems for each other. That is the power of community, and that is probably why the valley is where it is. It is the hub of innovation. We all know that, and the same thing has started in bits and pieces in Bangalore. We have seen like the key hubs of the world. Cell. I come from Bangalore. I've seen a lot of innovative startups being incubated and thriving out of there. But what it essentially does is it creates a sense of community. Number one, it creates a strong support system because trust me, you cannot solve every problem. Number one, and most of the founders that we have seen is that Okay, they love their product so much, it is very difficult to think beyond the product because they're too attached to the product. So what it brings in is a diverse set of perspectives and help you bounce your ideas with people who are detached and give you a different kind of a perspective with respect to the product, which can scale or may not scale. And that's how you can take an alternative approach. The third thing that it does is also, it connects you to the other ecosystem players. For example, at Dell, what I'm saying, obviously we are a technology provider. We are not an angel investor. We are probably never going to invest in a product. But we, in our own rights or merits, we know about a lot of other ecosystem players. For example, the angel investors or accelerators, which might be interested in a specific kind of product. So we can build that connect across that, and we can provide a platform, a safe space, if I may, where people can come together and ideate with each other. And hopefully some of them will scale, some may not, but some may need a larger amount of time. The other thing is also uh, building the tech stack, right? Sometimes you have a very fixed mindset in terms of building the product. So tech teardowns are very important, and that is where I would say academia and corporates play a very important role because there are tons of experts who can actually do a tear down of the entire tech stack and gives you a much more frugal and an innovative way to quickly scale up your product. For example, if I just talk about the AI revolution, I know everybody is talking about it. There are 140 odd Gen AI startups itself in this country. But if I go down, I mean, today I was doing wireframing. It took me exactly 5 minutes using ChatGPT to do a wireframing of a product. Now imagine if you're even doing a full-fledged wireframing of your products, you can easily get started in like 5-10 minutes. Obviously the actual idea can take time, but that is the power of technology. Using something like NVIDIA microservices, for example, Nemo microservices, you can train your model 1.8 times faster. So this is how you're saving on your development time. Now somebody, for example, from a tier 2 city may not hear it, but when they engage with a company like Dell, we can show them the merit of this along with, let's say, our GPU intensive server, how quickly you can take your product to market faster. Because, mind you, that is one of the most important things because if you do not get to market faster, somebody else will. So, in this case, getting to the market with whatever MVP is there is extremely, extremely important because you will never otherwise have a first mover advantage. So those are the few things that I can talk about.
So probably if you are building for a global market, fail fast mentality is something which will help go out, experiment, break things, and then you can basically learn from those experiences and then build on top of that. Saurav, you highlighted a very key aspects of like whom you should have as an advisor or a mentor, right? So how should one go about finding a right mentor or advisor when they want to build a global business?
Sure, I'd love to touch on that. Uh, Thanks for the question, Nikhil. Now, one thing you have to all understand as a founder that what's your core product you are building on. One, somebody coming from the domain, yes, definitely help you to give perspective. But more importantly, it's not a product only, it's a business. I think that is what I was talking to Rohit sometime back is that how the business mindset comes from the beginning. Like, how do you see to set up your frameworks in such a way that how I sell the product, how I market the product, how I reach to people, or take the feedback and incorporate in my product. So there is a lot of different stages are there. It doesn't have to be one mentor always. And even for us also, if you ask me personally, I have multiple mentors. I have mentors who are just 21 years also. I learn so much from them. Some are maybe way down in your kind of experience and all. It doesn't matter. If they know something, why not I go and learn from them? Get the perspective. But one most important thing in finding the mentor is that your nature has to be same as your mentor's nature. When I say nature, your style of working. If you are an aggressive person, to go try out in the market, find out, then I fail, I learn, I move on. The mentor has to have the similar mindset. The reason I'm highlighting this very clearly because if I'm a shy person and my mentor is a kind of extrovert, Now, the way I'm thinking, my mentor cannot connect with me. Or if I'm not asking a question, the mentor cannot connect and even understand why I'm not asking or why I'm asking it. So, very important the compatibility of the mentor first, and then the subject matter expert. Now, never think one thing I will tell you is that somebody is working in like me in a big corporate doesn't mean that I can be the best mentor for a particular product. You have to see the strength of the person in that subject rather than the designation or the work they are working on. I think your product is more important to you than the person who is suggesting, because sometimes mentor come and just give a statement, but is it going to make the real impact what you are expecting? You have put your heart and soul, your money, your support, family's time, everything to build it. So you need to find somebody who can invest in you. That's very, very, very important. So in short, if I call out 1, 2, 3 points, like first, compatibility is important. Second, matter is definitely important. Which subject matter we are looking at. Third, how much they are invested. So these three things is the basic. I will say after that, I know you already understand who is the person to work with.
I have a view on mentor mentee. Uh, a lot of people come to us for this. I think the relationship onus lies not on the mentor, it lies on the mentee. The relationship onus lies on the mentee, how well he can collaborate and extract what he wants from the mentor. Right? A lot of times we give a lot of feedback and there's no follow up. There is no there is no bounce back. Right? And that's when a mentor starts losing its mentee slowly. The relationship goes on. So mentee is the focus, not the mentor in this case.
So,
Yeah, I agree. That that is how it has to be in work environment also. Okay, as you grow your team, it is not that the team that you hire has to have that compatibility. It is not that you have to be following with your team to find out what they are doing. It has to be the relationship has to come from the other side. That forms a great culture for you to build your team also.
there's a great saying, seek and you shall receive. In Gujarati, we have mangya vagar to maa bhi na aate. That means without asking, even your mother will not provide you food, right? So if you need an advice, you have to go seek the mentorship and find right people. And that brings me to the cultural aspect of this building a global startup. I think all of you are working with global organization, interacting with a lot of people with different cultures. What kind of role does it play? Like when somebody wants to build a startup, probably they are setting up a team outside country in a US or European region or uh, India or any other region. What kind of aspect they should basically look for when setting up team outside India? Yeah.
Sorry, something came to my mind and I wanted to share with this. So I was in Philippines recently. I met with a founder who is from Kolkata, and I was curious to understand. Sorry, what are you doing in a vacation? He said, "No, I'm not in a vacation." I said, "What are you doing?" I'm going to set up my operations center there in Philippines. Can you believe it, guys? Somebody is not setting up an operations center in India, going to Philippines. Philippines is visa free now. It's cheap labor, but operations wise, we have a huge setup there. Operations wise, the best place to go for. Now, if you want to build things global, it's not about just building the product, it's about building the business. Why are we not looking beyond our country to set up things outside as well? So I think somewhere you have to start connecting with more people to get these ideas. I don't think sitting yourself and building your product can help you to just understand what is happening outside. So build your network, challenge yourself, and explore more, which people have not done it. And sorry, I just wanted to share because I couldn't resist myself.
See, when you want to understand the culture of a place, you have to go to that place first. You can't sit here and understand the culture of, as was rightly pointing. So wherever you want to expand your business, go there, find out how things work there, and then try to set up. It can work depending on, I mean, the team that you want to set up, how you form the team will vary depending on your requirement. For regulatory requirements, you may need to hire locally, but for expertise, you may want to move people from here to the other location. So that will vary depending on the business needs. But you need to go there, find out what a culture is, how to merge with that, and then build. So that's the best way to expand your business. I just want to complete one on the previous one we were talking about. Do you build everything here? Don't you do for the outside world? It depends on the product, I would say, because Zoho Books, I'm sure many are using it. The tax compliances vary. In India, we have to comply with GST. In UAE, it is different. In US, it is different. Canada, it is different. So the core product will be the same, but the add-ons will have to be built based on build it from here, but based on how it is required, and it can only be used there. I can't use that here. Okay, but we have a team who can help that. For which I want to add one more point for the this is for the software side that I'm talking about. The products that you're building, keep make sure they have three things in place. First is integration capabilities. It's not that your customers are going to use only your product. There will be other products that they have, and your product has to work in with them. So integration capabilities have to be there. Customizations have to be there. You can't be sitting and doing the tail end for each of your customers. Give that to the customers themselves. Give that power to the customers themselves. So in your product, make sure you bring in a lot of customizations. I may want to call a customer, somebody may want to call it a user. So wherever, whatever possible, the theme of the client building itself, the drag and drop and build the client, a lot of things in software, give the power to the customer and bring in lot of customization. That will save a lot of your time. You don't have to sit and do specifically for people. Customization. Third thing is extensibility. Give API support wherever required. People will not just take your product and use. They may not like your client, but they may just, if you have the APIs, if you give the APIs, they just need to take the data and build their own client as well. So wherever possible, give extensible options. The extensible option has to be in such a way it has to work. It's not that it will not work. So keep this in mind. Integration, customization, extension. So I call this as ICE, I-E-I-C-E. It's easy to remember. So when you're building your product, make sure you build in all these things so it will help you expand faster.
So one last question, and then we'll open the floor for the audience. So I've spoken to a lot of VCs, and many times I see this blind advice, which is boots on the ground when you want to do GTM in global market, right? So you have to go there and do. But I've been part of Whatfix, I've been part of Levo, where I've seen they have built a successful GTM from India for the global market. So in your experience, like what kind of approach early stage startup should take when building a global GTM?
I'll give one point. I'll pass it on. So to understand the culture, you need to go there, find out is fine. But if it is a product and your product is available for download in the website, that's how we have built it. Anybody from across the globe can take it and use it. So furthermore, maybe culturally you need to connect and expand, you may have to go. But still, if you have a niche problem that you're solving, which you have an USP, which the competition will be there, that you have to keep in mind. Whichever domain we take, there will be competition. If there is no competition, then I don't know if there will be any, you have to see if there are people to buy the product first. So wherever there is market potential, there will be competition. So this is something I still keep in mind, which our CEO has said long back. If we go and say him, I have an idea, can we develop into a product? A lot of us come up with idea, he'll say this. If you have an idea, there are 100 other people who also have the same idea. And there are 100 more people who would have tried and failed. Go find out why they failed and then see what addition you want to give, how do you differentiate. So in a where there is a market potential, there will be competition. So you have to see how you are differentiating your product, why your customers have to come to you. And if you have built that compelling product, anybody across the globe should be able to use it. So that is how it is.
I advise a lot of companies who want to go outside India. I tell them to build outside India first than India, because India is more complicated. Straightforward answer actually. But a couple of things. If you want to really go out of India, you have to look at a model of go-to-market. Your GTM model you'll have to look at. If you have a strong presence in that market, your job becomes much easier. Right? You will get all the input from a culture standpoint, from a regulation standpoint, from a integration standpoint from there. If you don't have, your job becomes as much difficult. You will have to go and travel there, and you have to understand that market before you build for that. There is no other shortcuts.
I think GTM possibly is one of the greatest initiatives that the startups can adopt because scaling is again it is very contextual depending on the market. Like if you look into the markets in the US, they are very high touch. They have regulatory aspects to abide by, and again it has a lot of different nuances also even within the US market. If you go to the U, very GDPR specific, depends on very large distribution network, and again the context differs, so you need to have a strong presence locally, then only you can expand. Southeast Asia market, if you look at them, very partner oriented. You go to Sri Lanka, you cannot even enter into a market without a partner in the picture, and they also want you to be flexible. So where you are expanding, the geography you are going into, you need to identify the people or the companies that you can go along with. Some of them could be very large, renowned corporations, and that gives you, and if I may use the word, an opportunity to piggyback on the larger names and get to the market faster without burning out a lot of cash. In some of the markets where flexibility is highly desirable, catch hold of a smaller partnership and then expand. Somebody who is culturally rooted into the region, go in there. But I think every market will have different things to look into, different compliance requirements, regulatory requirements. We have to abide by and respect those things, and take also the localization aspect into consideration. The look and feel of the product. One of the things that was very much spoken about 3 4 years back, when that digital transformation wave was coming, UI UX. But guys, that is becoming very relevant in today's world. I mean, why do you think OpenAI is doing as well as they are doing, and not some of their competition? Because they have a highly intuitive interface. My 10-year-old can sit in front of ChatGPT and do whatever he wants to. It is that intuitive, right? So your product has to be defined in a way that can even give the layman the ability to try out the product in the most non-invasive manner. The second thing is also like what are the cultural or the local aspects that you can build into product even without user education, even somebody without their being in the picture, they can easily intuitively understand what problem the product is supposed to solve. And also the look and feel, the colors, the UI aspects, all these things are very relevant in today's context because people don't want to shuffle through too many screens. They just want a simple interface, wants everything at the tip of the fingertips. And if you complete a payment, for example, and they will kind of push it out on your screen that this payment was completed in 0.3 seconds. And we love that, right? In today's day, we are also very impatient. So people don't have a lot of patience to try out. So I think in every place, this is very similar. So understanding the nuances is very important.
Yeah, if you want to add anything. Okay, I think everybody talked on that. I'll just give the framework. That's the GTM strategy we call it, right? So how do you think about it? I think most of the founders do that. Maybe you don't know that terminology is what others use. It's the personification, like which personas you are going to support to. How are you incorporating those things? Who is the competition in the market? How do you do your market research? All are jargons, but thumb rule is that do you know your dhanda? Who is going to come and be the competitor? It's not only the strategic competitors, but it will be the disruptors. So if you're all set with those strategies upfront, if you sit back and start thinking what can come and disrupt my business, I think your go-to-market strategy can actually accommodate those things when you plan it. Now, simple example, some of the cases if you take is that why I cannot go to China. Now, do you really need to go to China? Do there somebody is already there? Can you meet the language barrier there? Can you build the product the way they are doing it with the cheaper cost? Now, If you understand it upfront, you will never even think of going it because you know there is another market in Brazil is there where I can make more money. So that strategy is definitely going to help you upfront then in the future. But few things which I will touch on, which everybody thought about, is that how do you strategize the product build? Like, are you only looking at building a product for the users or building it for operations also? If you have that architecture in mind, I think your product is scalable for every geography and every type of pivoting we are going to do it. As everybody talked, right? You never build a product today and you're going to see it tomorrow. The disruption is everywhere. AI is bringing a lot of dimension to it. So the sooner you understand that you need to have more flexibility in a product is better, even with your business model also. So with that thought, I'll leave it that it can go anywhere.
Sure. So I think this topic is very broad and we can keep on discussing, but given the time constraint, we will wrap it now. Just to give you a quick roundup of what we had discussed: going local to global, focus on MVP, find right problem statement to solve that problem very deeply, and then you'll be able to scale globally. Take care of compliances, very critical. If you are building global business, compliance is very critical. Uh, Leverage ecosystem, communities, accelerators, various programs, all of them open now from India, outside India. You have a lot of mentors here who can connect you with those programs, so leverage them. Find right mentors, find people who are subject matter experts, and then take their advice to build global business. So I think with that, we will wrap this today's session. Thank you so much for joining this panel and sharing your insight with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I request all of our panelists to please stay back on stage. Firstly, I want all of our attendees, our audience members, to give a huge round of applause. I think it was a very intriguing discussion. Local to global, how do we take our tech to the world? All of our panelists and of course Nikunj, our moderator, thank you so much for conducting this so beautifully. Before you move forward, we have a small token of appreciation that we'd like to present to all of you over here. For that, firstly, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Khushi Vora, the Marketing and Event Management Lead from Biz Data. I request you to kindly present the token of appreciation. Let's start first with Ms. Rajalakshmi, ma'am. I can see how ma'am is a motivational speaker also. Go-getter. Next up, I request Mr. Rohit to kindly accept the token of appreciation. Can we have a round of applause for sir, please? Next, we would like to present our gift to Ms. Samriddhi. Can we have a round of applause for ma'am? And finally, for the man who said that on stage, that I love you all, can I please request Mr. Saurav to please come forward and accept the token?